Hi, my name is Sherry. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about 3 different crops that I recommend growing in a small space. This video is actually the second part of a small series that I'm planning about growing more in less space. So if you're interested in that, consider subscribing. If you liked this video, let me know. So let's get started. The first crop we're going to talk about is beans. That's a really good crop if you want to grow something that is very nutritious, that grows really fast, produces a lot, and can also grow in a small space. This is the Blue Lake pole bean, and I bought these at the MIgardener Store. I particularly prefer pole beans because as long as you can provide some sort of simple support, they will be a lot more prolific than bush beans. You could also look at dwarf varieties if you're willing to sacrifice a bit of the production for this space. The second crop we're going to talk about is tomatoes. Now, I have a whole video planned on tomatoes because I have a lot to say about them. Like, I'm a big tomato lover. But let's start with tomatoes. Also have 2 types of growing habit. You have your indeterminates and your determinates. Your determinates would be your bush varieties, your dwarf varieties. And what that means is that these plants are going to grow up to a certain height and produce a certain amount of fruit, and then they're going to die. And an indeterminate tomato is a plant that, as long as you keep feeding it and watering it and providing the optimal conditions for it to grow, it's going to keep on growing and producing fruit. Now, this tomato is a Berkeley tie-dye green tomato by Baker Creek. I would really recommend you start with a cherry tomato if you're growing in a small space, because cherry tomatoes are way more prolific than your regular saladettes or your slicers. They grow really fast, they mature really fast, and depending on the variety that you choose, you can get a lot of fruit from one single plant. And the third crop that we're going to talk about is squash, particularly winter squash. This is the cuckoozy squash that I bought from the MIgardener. Squash is a great plant for small spaces because if you're looking to grow something that can keep for a long time, you definitely have to grow some winter squash. Now, winter squash, if you choose your variety correctly and choose like a personal size variety, you can trellis it up and get a really good harvest of a small space. You can harvest young winter squash and eat them like they were summer squash. And also you can let them ripen on the vine for long storage. So it is a great crop to grow in a small space. Now, one thing that all of these plants have in common is that they all need some sort of support to grow properly and produce abundantly. So that was it for today. It was lovely hanging out with you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. So, abundant, what are my recommended varieties? In today's video, we're going to be talking about 3 varieties.